Hello, I'm Karen Barham, the Product Evaluation Administrator. I'm going to be talking about the department's proprietary products procedure. We are currently just about ready to implement the official procedure and form that for proprietary products that you're going to be using. This has to be done at the design phase, and I don't have an official date for you yet on when that will be implemented, but when that happens, there will be a formal memo that goes out so you'll know when to start using that procedure. Okay, let's start with the definition. This is all review. Let's start with the definition of a proprietary product. When I say a proprietary product, I mean also a process, and that is something that you would identify by a trade name such as 3M sheeting or a Corten steel, something along those lines. But you need to also be careful when you're doing specifications and design notes that it can also be a specification that has been so narrowly defined that only one manufacturer can meet that, and that is still considered a proprietary product. They cannot be used inappropriately or inadvertently when you do use a narrow spec. There has to be at least 2 products available for that specification to meet that. You will need to verify that, and that means that the manufacturers are available to bid. It cannot be that there are 2 suppliers capable, but one doesn't market in Florida. That is still a proprietary product because only one is available to market in Florida. So don't assume that if you're using national standards that makes any difference. It does not. The national standards are not written around product availability. You need to follow the proprietary product process and keep in mind proprietary products whenever state or federal funds are used or might be used. Remember, in the design phase, the funding gets switched around a lot, and so it is best to assume that every project is going to use federal funds, unless you're absolutely 100% sure because an agency has guaranteed they're paying for it individually or something. And even then, depending on what it is, it may not be able to be pulled out of the project separately. And so tread carefully and ask questions early. Okay, so what is this process? The process starts when the initiator, and I'll go through these definitions of who is an initiator and that, but it starts when the initiator submits the request to use the product, and that request goes to the department district design project manager. The submittal must consist of a justification to justify the request and the necessary information that they will have completed on the form. The form is also being developed as part of this process, so you will have both the procedure and the form to use. The next thing that happens is the project design manager receives the package, and if the request is for something that they need specialty review for, it's an ITS item, it's a drainage item, something like that, then they will submit that to the appropriate office within the department to assist with the review, and that office will make their recommendation for approval. This needs to be in writing because of the next step, and that is the whole package is forwarded to the district design engineer, and the district design engineers have told me make certain that those recommendations are in writing because they don't want to have to run them down. So that comes from the district design engineers. The district design engineer is the one who signs the form for the department. If this process looks very familiar, it is. It is based on your exceptions and variations process. This is not an exception and variation. Don't get those confused, but it is the identical process, and in a way they're very much alike. The next thing is, what do you do with this form and justification? Well, once everything is complete, you keep it with your document package. And however your district is currently doing that is acceptable. They should not be separated, though. You do need to keep them together. So this is what your form is going to look like. Again, it should look very familiar to you, just like your design variations and exceptions. The top part of the form discusses the locations and everything. There is specific language that must be signed, and the language comes right out of Federal Highway. I, so-and-so of the so-and-so department, hereby certify in accordance with the requirements of 23 CFR 635-411 that this patented or proprietary item is, one, either essential for certification, or synchronization with an existing facility, or that there is no equally suitable alternative that exists for this item. Only one may be selected. After the review, the district design engineer will sign the bottom. So who is this initiator we talked about? Well, this is the person who has knowledge of the justification, whether it's synchronization or whether it's unique need, why it needs to be done, where it needs to be done, what the history is. This is that person. In the local agency, this will be the local agency person or the consultant working for the local agency who has made the request. In a DOT contract, if it's been sent out to a contractor, the consultant designing the plans is the one making the request, so therefore the consultant will be the initiator. If it's an DOT plan and the DOT personnel has identified the need and says that this is going to have to be in the project plans, Mr. Consultant, then the one with the knowledge is the DOT person, and that person then is the initiator. So it's kind of follow the knowledge. Who is it who holds the knowledge of that justification? That person is the initiator. Now, a contractor can submit the justification on behalf of a local agency if the local agency has provided the information. Nothing stops that. It's just, it's easier to think of it in the way of who has the knowledge. Let's review definitions quickly. What is synchronization? Synchronization is when you're matching, coordination, or conformance of a device to a previous standard, or you're integrating a product into an established method of doing business. It's something, it means there's something that's there already and you're fitting into it. What is a unique need? It is sole source, one of a kind. There's nothing out there that's able to meet the need with any other product or process. And when you're considering this, money is not the issue. You cannot use money as saying, well, there's other things, but they're so much more expensive. You cannot do that. That you have to, it's either there is something or there isn't something. Money's got nothing to do with it. Okay, so when you get this package, can the DOT require someone to provide additional documentation? Of course we can, but we can't require them. We can request it, but failure to submit any additional information that we've asked for clarification is certainly grounds for rejecting the request. So, summing up quickly, if you have a proprietary product or process identified in the plans, if you've said use this or the proprietary product, if you're leaving the option open to a bidder, This is not proprietary. You don't need a proprietary product process form submitted because you've included a non-proprietary option. For synchronization, yes, you need the form. For unique or no sortable alternative, you need the form. If you're doing experimental or other special program, you will need the documentation associated with that program. Or if you want something that doesn't fit into any of the above, but you just want it because you want it, or the local agency wants it because they want it, and you can't use any of the above, it's a public interest finding. So that's how the public interest finding is different. It requires something specific, but other acceptable items are available. Please note that when this process goes into effect, we will be conducting QARs. Both product evaluation and Federal Highway will be conducting QARs on this, and they will be looking at the justification documents as well as the other documentation. And again, a memo will go out when we start that. The slides, okay, questions. Can we get the slides sent to District Specs Office to use? You certainly can. I will have them available at the workshop. There's already information on this coming for LAP projects. At the expo, I will be giving this talk as well. One geared specifically to designers, the other specifically for LAP issues. If there is only one item on the QPL, I will handle that. The QPL is my domain, and we are handling that internally here. You can have one item on the QPL, but I have to have all those justifications and forms already documented for that to occur. So there are public interest findings on my records and that for that. If you need additional information on the public interest finding and the issues for that, call my office and we can discuss that.